Hi everyone, it's Ren here. Welcome to my room, guys. There's something that's not talked about enough in in the relationship that INFJs have with their friends. So you can call those friendships between an INFJ and a non-INFJ, because INFJ friendships, friendships between two people of the same type are different. But friendships that INFJs enter into, where the INFJ often ends up complaining, either just to themselves internally, keeps it secret, or openly to the other person, or more likely to people that they know in common or online, that expressing their frustrations to online communities for feedback. Often the the complaint will be that INFJs are not consulted enough about how they feel, about how they are. That people will request, will require, almost demand of the INFJ that they provide moral support, emotional support, advice of various sorts, but that there is no real reciprocal relationship, that the INFJ ends up just providing this support and guidance to the best of their ability, with their close friends anyway, not necessarily with a wider circle, because they have to preserve their scarce energy levels. But the INFJ often complains it's not a two-way street, right? It doesn't. When it's my turn to be sad, or it's my turn to require a guidance, the other person is not doing it, and so I feel I feel like they're failing me a little bit, right? And so you hear that all the time, and it's in fact quite a common topic in online discussions and articles about INFJs, that they are called upon to support, but they don't get this support back when they need it. And it contributes, the idea is that it contributes to their reinforced feeling of loneliness and isolation and being misunderstood. The whole idea of being misunderstood. Well, now what I'm saying is, just consider for a second that perhaps that there's another side to this picture. As far as I can tell, the other side of the picture is this. First of all, INFJs are not necessarily that good at requesting support from other people. I think that sometimes they will convince themselves that they've been very explicit toward the other person about needing guidance or support. Oops. This book, which I will mention to you in a second, just fell off. The Infinite Soul, my new book. So they often convince themselves they've been very clear about requiring some sort of support or advice or guidance, but in fact they haven't been. INFJs, it's funny because INFJs can be very expressive and even spontaneous when it comes to certain topics, which to me indicates as well that, like, some of what we read online or hear online is inaccurate. There are certain things for which INFJs have no problem expressing themselves and expressing where they want to get to, in speech. But when it comes to their emotional states, their states of mind, and particularly the need for some sort of screen or for some sort of sounding board, on the part of another person, or even straight support, advice, and so on, they're not very clear. And they're usually good at convincing themselves that they're way more clear than they really are. So the other person might just not have realized that you really need this help. So ask yourself this question: have I been that clear? Give the other person the benefit of the doubt. Maybe you haven't been. And then the second aspect, which again I think is meant to bring a little bit of nuance in this whole picture, is that when an INFJ is clear about the need to have someone listen to them and provide support or commentary or whatever it is they need emotionally or morally. Supposing they have managed to be clear, which is again far from granted all the time, they are very, very picky, and INFJs, that is, they're hard to satisfy. They'll often feel like the other person is not helping them, and the other person will be made to feel it. The other person usually quite candidly and sincerely tries to provide some kind of point of view and some kind of advice. But they will see it. Either the INFJ will be vocally clear about the fact that the other party just didn't really understand what they were trying to express, or they won't be so blunt about it, but the other person, being a sensitive human being, like most people presumably, will feel that and won't be encouraged to provide guidance in the future. INFJs have very high standards in terms of, they have very high expectations of others when it comes to providing them with support. And I think it's because in a sense, INFJs are aware that they are very, very good at providing that for others. They know, they complain that, people rely on them all the time for this, but it also comes with a certain sense that they can do this very well, provide support and guidance and context. But I think that also means that they hold others to a very high standard when it's up to them to support the INFJ. And the high standard can sometimes kind of backfire and just come across as criticism of others for being too shallow or not really understanding them. And that doesn't encourage others to reiterate the gesture, because they feel, okay, like the INFJ, this INFJ friend of mine thinks that they understand their situation so much better than I can understand it myself, that how could I be of help? And I could dissuade them or discourage them in the future. So two aspects that are useful to keep in mind, and INFJs don't always. Sometimes it's just that you're not really encouraging the other person to feel confident they can help you. So this book that just fell off earlier is The Infinite Soul, my new book on the INFJ. If you want to find purpose, meaning, and happiness in the modern world today, get The Infinite Soul. All the links are fresh and below, and leave a review. If you love the book, please leave a review. It helps with the referencing. Already some reviews you can check online are very positive. It's of course the sequel to this book that came out a few years ago, the Ecstatic Soul, companion piece, man and woman, and both INFJ, of course. This one analyzes the INFJ psyche. This one looks more at INFJs in the world. Get both books. Leave me a thumbs up, please, and don't forget my Patreon page. I'll see you next week, guys. Take care.